What's going on, football fans? Welcome back to another episode on the Football and Focus podcast. I'm Abdullah, and I'm joined by Shaun. Shaun, what's going on with you? How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. Glad to be back.
Yeah, man, it feels good to be back, man. We got football back, man, and let's start off with the Lions and the Chiefs as the Lions go into Kansas City and actually beat Kansas City 21-20. Um, no Travis Kelsey, no Chris Jones, but regardless, the Lions got the job done. With Jared Goff going 253 yards and a touchdown, David Montgomery had 21 carries for 74 yards, and Josh Reynolds had 4 catches and 80 yards, whereas Patrick Mahomes had 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, and surprisingly, he led the team in rushing with 6 attempts and 45 yards, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling with 2 receptions and 48 yards. The wide receivers, by the way, were basically non-existent, and Kadarius Toney basically sold the game because that tip pass that he tried catching led to a pick six. Any thoughts on that game?
Honestly, Kadarius Toney made a big play in the Super Bowl, but good
Right.
God, he played
Yeah.
like
It was
dog water not yesterday, but Thursday.
yeah. Another team that played dog water that he used to play for, the New York Giants, as the Cowboys played as the Cowboys played the Giants, um, and man, they 40-0, man, 40-0. Now the weather was bad. Weather was bad. They got new turf, but there's no excuse. Dak Prescott put up just 143 yards, nothing too crazy. Tony Pollard
Didn't
had
need to throw.
yeah, there really wasn't much to do because the defense played great. They had fumble recoveries, they had interceptions. I mean, it,
Blocks punt or blocks.
yeah,
It was a
it
field
was
goal,
just
right?
they had 2 missed field goals. Yeah, 2 missed field goals. It was not a good game for the Giants. Let's just put it at that. We really don't have much to say about that game, to be honest.
I will say this:
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just a really good defense against
A weak offense,
like
maybe.
not above average, but not average. Like somewhere like mediocre.
Right. Okay. No,
I
I
don't
agree
know if
with you.
that's the right word, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
a
Next
little
up.
above
Oh,
average, but
sorry.
not great.
Yeah. Next up, we'll probably stay in the division as the Eagles go to New England as Tom Brady makes his return. Jalen Hurts 170 yards on through the air with a touchdown. Kenneth Gainwell with 14 rushes for 54 yards. AJ Brown with 7 receptions and 79 yards. Mac Jones had 316 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He
That
was slaying it,
yeah,
bro.
I think towards the end of the game, it was pretty close. It was like 20-14 or something like that, or 22 or something along the lines of that. And
Yeah,
I actually thought that the Patriots were gonna go up there and win the game, but obviously they didn't. But I mean, overall, I think Mac Jones played a decent game. Offensive line was protecting quite well. I think up until the end of the game where they surrendered a sack or two. So overall, I think Mac Jones had a good game, but obviously they lost to the Eagles 25-20. Now, this next game I think is probably the best game that has happened on Sunday. The Dolphins at the Chargers. My oh my, this was probably one of my favorite games to watch. Tua Tagovailoa, 466 yards and 3 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert had 10 rushes, 37 yards, and a touchdown. And the main man, the cheat code himself, Tyreek Hill, 11 receptions, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. The man could not be covered. You could do anything you want on Tyreek Hill. He burnt the Chargers defense. He burnt J.C. Jackson. How many times? Um,
Hold on, I gotta say
Go ahead.
that penalty that JC did.
Oh, it costed them. Yeah,
That was. It doesn't even make sense.
it doesn't.
At all.
It doesn't.
What was he thinking?
You
He
know,
played a good game until like the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a veteran and he should not have done that. And because of that, they
Yeah.
led at halftime and then they kept that 3 point lead throughout the game, pretty much. But yeah, and then on the other side, Justin Herbert 228 yards and a touchdown. Austin Eckler had 16 carries, 117 yards and a touchdown. And Keenan Allen had 6 receptions for 76 yards. Just a normal day for Keenan Allen, um, and the Chargers. But we'll see if they bounce back. They lost by 2, 36-34. But that was actually a very very good game. Probably my favorite game of the week. Um,
Oh, by far favorite
yeah,
game of the week. I think
100%.
that it's the early contender for like game of the year. Not to
Oh
say
yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna win, but that was definitely
It's up
like
there. It's up there.
yeah.
Right.
Tua though, like let's
Yeah.
talk about Tua though, because
Yeah, I
that
mean, he was
man
just slinging it.
bro, he was surgically putting that ball on the perfect spot.
Yeah.
Like the second touchdown Tyreek got, that was the perfect placement.
Yeah, I
Like
actually thought
he
the
was
ball
threading
was.
that needle so badly.
I was kind of confused when I saw the replay. I was like, oh wow, he actually caught it. I was like, what?
It looked
Because
like
that
he
was
did
like
because there was
tight.
two defenders around him.
That was like tight coverage too, and he still managed to get it. But that was a very good pass by Tua, and a better catch by Tyreek Hill. So next up, we have the
Yeah.
Raiders. Yeah, we have the Raiders going against the Broncos. They won by 1 point. Jimmy G, man, Jimmy G, the guy himself, 200 yards with 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 19 carries, 48 yards. There wasn't really much room for him to do work in. Um, Jacoby Myers had 9 catches for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson put up mediocre stats, 177 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns. But yeah, and then Javonte Williams, 13 carries, 52 yards, and Samaje Perine, um, four four receptions for 37 yards. Um, I mean, overall, I think this was a good quality win by the Raiders. Nothing really to complain too much. Any thoughts on your end?
It was an in division game, bro.
Yeah.
They know how to play each other. You know,
Right.
it's gonna be a like close, like hard fought game.
Yeah, yeah. I think the next game that shocked me the most, the Rams at Seattle, and I think the reason why this shocked me the most is because DK Metcalf had a press conference. I think a couple days. I don't know if you know of this, but he had a conference a couple of days leading up to this matchup, and they asked about the Rams defense, and he was just like, "I'll be honest, I don't know anyone on the Rams backfield, like their corners and safeties and stuff like that." Hey, I'll just say the Rams put in work. They beat Seattle 30-13, and Seattle didn't score anything in the third and fourth quarter. Matthew Stafford had 334 yards. Williams had 15 carries for 52 yards and a touchdown. And Nakua, I think that's how you say his name, 10 receptions, 119 yards. Tutu Atwell also had a great game as well. I think this all relates to how Cooper Kupp wasn't around. So they put up really, really good stats to help the team win. Geno Smith, 112 yards for 1 touchdown. It seems like he fell right back into earth. And Kenneth Walker III had 12 carries, 64 yards. DK Metcalf, 3 receptions, 47 yards, and a touchdown. I think overall this was also a good game by the Rams, kind of shutting down whatever DK Metcalf had to say about the Rams defense. Even though they lost a lot of good key components that led them to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So yeah. Next up, the Packers going against the Bears. Obviously, this is a showdown of all showdowns. Packers go on to win 38-20. Jordan Love, 245 yards and 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 9 carries, 41 yards and a touchdown. He did have an injury, and we'll discuss that later. Aaron Jones again also had 2 receptions and 86 yards and a touchdown. Justin Fields, 216 yards and a touchdown. Justin Fields again led in rushing, 9 carries, 59 yards. Darnell Mooney, 4 receptions, 53 yards, and a touchdown. So let me ask you this, Shaun. Are you sold on Jordan Love just from this game? Because I feel like there's a lot of people that were just like, oh my God, Jordan Love, like he just beat the
Uh,
Bears, like on his debut, like starting debut or whatnot.
Yeah, so I was higher on the Packers offense
Mm-hmm.
than I think most people were. I mean, they just had pieces all around to like help him succeed,
Right.
And I'm not sold on him or that entire team as a whole because it was the Bears, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that offense is like still clicking, like or trying to click, and then their defense is just mediocre, like
Yeah.
as can be.
I know. Yeah, I know they made a lot of good acquisitions this off season. A
Yeah,
lot of
but
yeah,
they're not used to playing together,
right. A lot of
And
people.
then on top of it, I'll say this: Jordan Love didn't have his number one target. Christian
Yeah,
Watson
Christian
was out with
Watson
a
was out.
hamstring
Yep.
injury, so
Yeah, and then on top of that, Romeo Dobbs was on a snap count but caught 2 touchdowns. So I think all in all,
yeah, he had a
it
hammy
was a good
too.
game. Yeah, it was a good game by them.
Yeah,
Yeah. Next up, we have the Titans going against the Saints in the Superdome. Um, honestly, I actually watched this game as well. It seemed like Derek Carr was happy for the first time. Like they actually got the win. It was an all-team win, an all-team effort. He had 1 touchdown and he threw for 305 yards. Williams had 18 carries, 45 yards. Chris Olave, 8 receptions, 112 yards. Ryan Tannehill, just another Ryan Tannehill game, 198 yards. Derrick Henry, 15 carries, 63 yards. And DeAndre Hopkins on his Titans debut, 7 receptions and 65 yards. There was a play that led up to them scoring. It was a beautiful play. He basically told the receiver just to run. He told
yeah,
Derek
I
Carr
saw
told the
that
receiver
video.
just to run, and then they got that insane conversion that led
Yeah,
them to win, which was amazing.
I was about to mention that because I saw the like clip of it. Like he's
Right.
telling Rashid,
Yeah, Rashid.
Rashid, I can't remember his last name to be honest with you, but he told him just run. Like your bro said, just run. Receiver listened, and it led to the big play.
Yep. Yeah. Well, they went at home 16-15. Next up, we have the Buccaneers going against the Vikings. Now, I'll be honest with you, man. The Vikings fan base in that stadium is loud. They're insane. So, having the Bucks going into that environment and winning a game by 3 points was major. And it was also major for Baker Mayfield's debut as a Buccaneers quarterback. He had 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. White had 7 carries for 39 yards. Mike Evans, six receptions, 66 yards and a touchdown. Kirk Cousins, 300 wow, I can't even say the numbers. 344 yards on the air, 2 touchdowns. Alexander Madison didn't really put up great numbers. 11 carries, 34 yards. Justin Jefferson, 9 receptions, 150 yards. Ultimately, they do lose this game. I mean, this is a one-score game, and they lost at home. Do you think that things will change for Minnesota based off this one game?
Define change.
Like, they always go through this one-score situation every time. And last season, they were like, I think 11-0 or something like that at one point. And this year, they're like 0-1. I feel like their defense just doesn't close out games. And their offense has to do
Well,
twice as much work each and every time. It's been like that for the last couple of years.
no.
Like,
I don't think anything's going to change this season.
mm-hmm.
I still think that they're going to have terrible.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
A terrible defense.
we got kids that listen to this. So.
Yeah. I don't know what I was about to say. I just had a brain fart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, I don't think they're going to change anytime soon. I think that offense is going to carry them in games, and
Right.
the defense is going to blow them games.
Yeah. Well, sucks to suck if
I
you're
will
a
say
Vikings
this, though.
fan.
Jordan Addison looked really nice on that blown coverage.
Amazing,
touchdown.
yeah, for 39 yards. Yeah, beautiful. That was a beautiful play by them. Yeah, once again, Buccaneers win 20-17. Let's go to this next game. I think I'd like to have the floor here. 49ers going against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oof. Got some trauma there.
let me just start off by saying this. I think this Steelers team was not ready for what was about to happen. Um, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Nick Bosa. Man, that Brock Purdy, 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries, 152 yards. This Steelers defense cannot stop the run whatsoever. He also had a touchdown. Brandon Ayuk, he cooked Peterson so bad. 8 receptions, 129 yards, and 2 touchdowns. At one point, the Steelers offense had 1 yard. Just one. 1 yard, Shaun. 1 yard. Not 2, not 3. 1. Not 0. 1 yard. Like,
I wasn't watching the game, and I saw that it was like bad, but then I saw the yardage totals, and I just was like,
Shaun, no. I don't think you understand. They had 199 yards of offense. The Steelers had 1. One.
Yeah, I saw.
Uno.
I definitely saw.
Kenny Pickett, 232 yards and a touchdown. Najee Harris, 6 carries, 31 yards. And Allen Robinson, 5 receptions for 64 yards. Those were basically garbage yards because that was towards the end of the game, and Deontay Johnson was injured, and we'll get into that eventually. But yeah, that was they got manhandled. That's all I'm gonna say. Next up, Jaguars going against the Colts. I also like this game too. I think Anthony Richardson played a decent game. He had 223 yards and a touchdown. He also led in rushing 10 rushes for 40 yards and a touchdown. Michael Pittman, 8 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence, 241 yards and 2 touchdowns. Travis Etienne, 18 carries, 77 yards rushing, and a touchdown. Can we just say, welcome back, Calvin Ridley? Just welcome back, man. 8 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. It seems like he's back. Seems like he's back to his normal.
I don't think he ever left.
No, I mean, me neither. I mean, people were saying like, oh, he's probably dusted off. And no, that was.
I expected a little bit of rest, but man, he just.
I think he was hungry. He was hungry to play. And did you see that touchdown by Zay Jones? I don't know if it was like in the corner, and like just the ball placement that Trevor Lawrence had was just amazing. Just amazing. It was a good game, but the Colts fall short at home. And yeah, all right. So next up, we got the Ravens and the Texans. I'll let you have the floor for that. They win it 25-9 to the Texans.
It was a rough game. It was a very rough game. Ravens were down going in their starting corner, which I think starting corner Marlon Humphrey. I don't think he was going to play.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a surgery about 2 weeks before week 1, kickoff.
Yeah.
And he's just going to be out for a little bit. But other than that, the Ravens were just riddled with injuries throughout the game. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins, we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Right.
But our starting center has an ankle sprain. Our starting left tackle has a knee sprain. Our starting safety, Marcus Williams, has a torn pec. Don't know how long he's going to be out, though, because they haven't really given a update on it, just besides the fact that it might not be season-ending. So, other than that, the line just was under pressure all day, bro. Lamar, not running for his life, but I think he was the top pressured quarterback of the week.
Yeah, he only put up 169 yards. He had a few fumbles, I believe. Zay Flowers, a rookie.
That was just stupid mistakes by Lamar, honestly. Holding the football with one hand and throwing, plain emotion while running, that's never going to be a good idea.
Yeah.
And then the interception was just kind of just a bad, read, honestly. It was just a bad game overall, but it was the Texans, so they won,
Yeah.
They were without Mark Andrews too because he has a quad strain.
Right.
So I'm sure the offense would have ran better with Mark there, but it's the Texans, so they probably wanted him to rest up so that they could play the Cincinnati Bengals and be at like full offensive power,
Right.
minus the injuries now.
Right. Yeah. Well, regardless, yeah, Ravens win it, 25-9. Next up, again, we're gonna stay in the division. The Bengals go against the Cleveland Browns, Battle of Ohio, I guess you should say. 24-3. Joe Burrow got that insane extension, and he only put up 82 yards. Joe Mixon, 3 carries, 56 yards. Jamar Chase, 5 receptions, 39 yards. T. Higgins had 8 targets, and he wasn't able to catch any. Deshaun Watson, 154 yards and a touchdown. Nick Chubb, it was basically just a Nick Chubb show. He had 18 runs.
I was gonna say that's gonna be like the first couple weeks.
Yeah. He had 18 carries, 106 yards. Elijah Moore, 3 receptions for 43 yards. Do you think it's? I don't think it's time to panic about the Bengals, but this performance that they had was quite concerning. I don't know if it was the weather or what it was, but I think that performance was quite concerning.
It was a concerning performance, but it is week 1, so yeah. I wouldn't overreact. I mean, it's definitely eye-opening to see that caliber of a team. You know, like they made the Super Bowl and NFC or AFC Championship game 3 years now, right?
I believe it's wait.
2 for the AFC and then 1 for the Super Bowl, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or is it 1 and 1?
No, I think it's AFC and then the Super Bowl because they did play the Rams. Not last season, but I think the season before that.
Yeah, that was when. No. That was. It's been twice because Jamar was a rookie when they went to the Super Bowl, and then they lost in the AFC Championship game to the Chiefs last year.
Right.
But definitely, like, it's concerning. But I think the weather played a big factor, and then on top of it, Joe Burrow didn't play. He didn't practice all
because of the calf injury.
Training camp, really. Like he not tore his calf. He sprained his calf really early in the training camp. Didn't have any time, and he's still probably recovering from the calf.
Right.
Because calf strains are very tricky, and like they're really easy to like re-injure. So, am I concerned? No, I think the Bengals are going to be exactly what they always are. They're a late start team. Or like mid-season team.
Historically
they
have
fire and they just go.
Yeah, historically they have been a. No, I was gonna just feed it off of what you're saying. I was gonna say that they are historically a team that has slow starts. I know last season when they played against Pittsburgh in Cincinnati, he had about I think that Cincinnati had about like 5 turnovers and Boswell kicked the field goal and they basically won the game in overtime. So.
I think it was just a mix of the calf strain, rust, the weather, and then the Browns are just a really good defense.
Yeah, they've gotten better. Very, very much so.
You have Myles Garrett and Ward. Like, that's just a combo for, like, disgustingness. And, like, I think I saw somewhere that all of Higgins, or I think only one of Higgins' like targets was catchable.
Yeah, it was. But
I didn't watch that game. I was watching the Ravens game at that point, and that's tough.
Yeah, well, the Browns win it 24-3, and they play against Pittsburgh in Monday Night Football. So that's something interesting to watch. Panthers against the Falcons. The Falcons win it 24-10. Bryce Young in his debut, 146 yards and a touchdown. Miles Sanders, 18 carries for 72 yards. Hayden Hurst, 5 catches, 41 yards and a touchdown. Desmond Ridder, 115 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Algier, 75 yards running on 15 carries and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, just 2 catches for 44 yards. Let's talk about Bijan Robinson here. Were you able to see that touchdown that he had?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. he took this man. I'm not actually not gonna say that because that sounded weird, but yeah, the dude just fell and it was over for him. He did like a zoop. He just moved back and then just sprinted, moved left, right, and then boom, he was in for the touchdown.
I mean, him and Gibbs for being first round running backs looked. Gibbs obviously not as good, but like you saw the potential.
Right.
He also didn't have as big a workload, but you saw the potential. He probably would have had a touchdown. Gibbs thing probably would have had a touchdown if he didn't slip when Montgomery came out of the game for the with his shoe because Montgomery's shoe fell off.
Yeah.
I thought he was hurt. I was like in shambles because I own him in fantasy in a lot of leagues. So he ran off the field. It was just his shoe. Gibbs comes in. Gibbs slips and doesn't get the touchdown.
Man.
Then Montgomery comes back in.
Gets a touchdown.
But they both looked really good, bro. Like, obviously Bijan had the better week.
Yeah.
But Bijan is also in a entirely run team.
Yeah, I think the Falcons their identity now is more so running the ball because they basically have two bell cows in Algier and
they need a quarterback. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Ritter looked terrible. Like it's week 1, so like yeah, but Ritter looked terrible.
Yeah, I mean, let's not.
Like,
I mean, Panthers defense, they're kind of no scrubs either. They have a few. They got a few guys out there that can play.
They have J.C. Horn. They have a couple good like secondary players.
Yeah. Well, the Falcons win it 24-10. Next up, Commanders against the Cardinals, 16-20. Commanders win. Josh Dobbs, 132 yards. James Conner with 14 carries and 62 yards. Rondell Moore, 3 receptions, 33 yards. Sam Howell, 202 with a touchdown. Brian Robinson Jr., 14 carries, 59 yards. And I believe he did have a receiving touchdown. And then Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, he got a receiving touchdown. Yeah. And like, I think it was 3 or 4 receptions.
Yeah. But that was very good awareness by Sam Howell moving away from the pocket and, trying to find the open man.
Catch him, yeah.
And Curtis Samuel with 5 receptions and 54 yards. Not really much I can say about the game. I think Sam Howell played. He didn't play that bad, but then again, it's the Cardinals, so there's really not much going on with the Cardinals team in general. We'll see down the line what they do, and I'm really interested to seeing what Sam Howell can do down the line during this season. I know a lot of people are as well. Wow, that was loud. Anyways, the Jets versus the Bills. Jets go on to win it 22-16 in overtime. Josh Allen. He had 236 yards and a touchdown, and I believe he had 3 interceptions. James Cook, 4 rushes, 46 yards. Stephon Diggs, 10 catches, 102 yards and a touchdown. Zach Wilson, who came into the game because of Aaron Rodgers' injury. Zach Wilson had 140 yards through the air and a touchdown. Breece Hall, man, he looked amazing. 10 carries, 127 yards, and then Alan Lazard, 2 receptions for 46 yards. I know we probably already know. Well, everyone already knows what happened to Aaron Rodgers, which we'll discuss in a little bit. But yeah, it just sucks so bad, man. Because I feel for Jets fans because over the years they've just been slandered so much, and they've been put through so much with this organization. And for the first time in a while, like they finally have a well constructed team. They have a defense. They finally have an offense. Offensive line was kind of suspect. Duane Brown couldn't cover the defensive end, and because of that, Rodgers got hurt. But other than that, I think they just needed a quarterback, and they're basically like Super Bowl bound, if I may say. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I think the Jets are a complete team with Rodgers. But now that Rodgers is now out of the picture, how far do you think Zach Wilson? Go ahead.
I don't even know if he makes playoffs, bro. I'm gonna be like 100% honest with you. Like, I really don't.
Yeah. We'll eventually get into that. Let's talk about injuries briefly. So Austin Eckler had an ankle injury against the Dolphins. He basically just got it taped up again and went back into the game. Um, Anthony Richardson, quarterback from the Indianapolis Colts, had a concussion late in the game. Gardner Minshew ended up coming back. Um, his status is questionable for week 2. Tyler Lockett was also evaluated for a concussion. His status is basically in the air. They have rookie Jackson Smith and Jigba, who could line up as well with DK Metcalf. So we'll see what happens in week 2. Aaron Jones, he suffered a hamstring injury on his 35-yard touchdown catch against the Bears. He was later replaced by A.J. Dillon. There hasn't been any news of or any updates on his injury just yet. For Pittsburgh, Deontay Johnson, he also had injured his hamstring. There's news coming out now that he's going to be out for several weeks, maybe like up to four or more weeks or whatnot. Big blow for my Pittsburgh Steelers, but that's just football. It is what it is. Mike Williams, Chargers wide receiver, he was evaluated for a head injury midway through the second quarter, but after being evaluated, he came back and caught 4 catches for 45 yards. Jacoby Myers, I think this one was a scary one. I don't know if you saw the hit that Kareem Jackson gave him, but it looked very, very scary. He ended up being in concussion protocol. Obviously, he was out for the rest of the game, but his status is also up in the air for week 2. Pat Freiermuth, tight end for the Steelers, had a chest injury, and he was also ruled questionable to return in that game. Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle for the Giants, he suffered a hamstring injury in their 40-0 loss to the Cowboys. He is also questionable for next week. Jack Conklin, is out for the season. He was carted off with a leg injury on his left leg. So not good for the Browns, but we'll see what happens down the line. Ronnie Stanley, I think that's who you mentioned that was hurt, right? He had a knee injury.
Yeah.
He
had a knee sprain, and then Tyler Lindenbaum, the center for the Ravens, also has a ankle injury. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a sprain.
Okay.
But it was very vague of just ankle and knee.
Yeah. Well, Ronnie Stanley, he has yet to play a full season so far. So yeah, we'll see what happens with him. Another offensive.
He got that contract and just.
Yeah. Another offensive tackle, Charles Cross, he injured his toe in the loss against the Rams. And then Tyler Lindenbaum, like what you were saying, he also got hurt. He suffered an ankle injury. Garrett
That one looked really bad.
Yeah, I wasn't able to see it.
I thought it was done. I thought he was done for a while, but it's just a sprain apparently.
That's still good news. That it's not that bad. Garrett Bradbury, Minnesota center, he had a back injury and did not return to the game, and he is questionable for week 2. And then Cameron Hayward, defensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he had a groin injury that he suffered in the first half. Along with Deontay Johnson also being hurt, he is out for multiple weeks, and he's likely to be on IR, and he could have surgery. Not sure on that. Nakobe Dean, linebacker for the Eagles, he also was in a walking boot. He injured his leg. I do believe that he could be on IR. He injured his foot. He might be on IR, just to keep that in mind. J.C. Horn, who I think spoke about when we were talking about the Falcons and the Panthers, he injured his hamstring, and he also had multiple fractures in 2021. So we'll see what happens on that. And then Marcus Williams tore his pec in week 1. And as of right now, he'll be going through an MRI. So we'll see what happens on that. And then Jalen Pitre, the rookie, the second-year safety, excuse me.
I was going to say, I think he's a second.
Yeah, my bad. I got that wrong. No, I was looking at his photo, and he still has his college photo. That's why. Yeah, he had a bruised lung and had to go to the hospital. That's some scary stuff, but he'll be okay and
I
right,
didn't
and
even
he
know you
should
could
be.
bruise a lung.
Yeah, I don't even know, but he should be ready to go. Now I think the two main injuries we'd like to dive into. I think first J.K. Dobbins, um, man, he tore his
Feel for him, even.
Achilles, and he's out for the season. Um, they do have Melvin Gordon. They also have a committee of Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. I'll let you talk about J.K. Dobbins. The floor is yours, man.
So I just feel bad for JK, bro. Like he blew up his entire knee 2 seasons ago. Like
Yeah,
it was an LCL, PCL, hamstring, ACL, and MCL. Like the entire knee was done, plus the hamstring. And then he came back and he still looked good. That's the crazy part about it. He had to have a cleanup surgery last year, came
yeah.
back, looked good, was going to start this year, was in a contract year.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sucks because he didn't get his contract, but at the same time, that's why the Ravens didn't want to give him the contract.
Right.
And it's just, uh, I don't know. It's just sad. Like, he's a good dude, too, like, genuinely.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I know I'm a
I hope it's not the last we see of
yeah,
him, because he's only 24.
yeah. Like I know I'm a Steelers
But
fan
I
and
don't
all, but
it's not
I do
sorry.
want to see players healthy, and it does suck seeing J.K. Dobbins get hurt and he's
Yeah,
out for the
'cause
season because he
he
could be
was
very.
like,
Go ahead.
he could have been a top 5, like,
Yeah,
running back.
yeah. He's very explosive. Like once he takes off, he takes off. There's really no stopping uh, for him. But yeah, man. Best of luck to him, man, and we'll see if he ends up staying with the Ravens next season. You never know. Next up, Aaron Rodgers, quarterback, New York Jets. Um, man, the video was just so nasty. Where his Achilles popped out, that was. I mean, for so long, the biggest
Just,
hype was around Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Jets. He seemed a lot more happier. He seemed revived. A lot of people seemed very happy for him. Jets fans were ecstatic. His jerseys were just flying all over the place and sales and things like
it
that.
wasn't even like it was also like the connection. Like you heard, like oh, like I wasn't that close to like, or Devontae Adams said I wasn't that close to Rodgers. Like I wasn't in his inner circle. Blah blah blah. Then you see Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson like hanging out with him, doing things, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
like they actually have like a chemistry. And then for it to like go down and like up in smoke in 4 plays, just
yeah. He only lasted 75 seconds in his debut. 75 seconds. Just think about it. 75 seconds. And then you just go down like that. It was interesting because when he got up, I thought like he went down. He was down for a minute, then he got back up. And then like he just kind of stood there and I think he realized what happened and then he just went down and then that's when like all the air out of MedLife just went dark. Like it just went out. Like it just got quiet. Um,
to still win that game after
very
is
very good by the Jets. Well coached by Robert Saleh. Like you can't hate on the guy. You can't hate Robert Saleh,
no.
man. Like he's such a good coach. And the way that he tried to rally the team back regardless, um, I think it was a full like very good effort as well. But yeah, it sucks, man, because he's 39 now, and I think he turns 40, I believe, in December, from what I read. Um, he's signed through 2024, so I mean, there are a few there are a few free agent quarterbacks out there. Robert Saleh has made sure to the media that this is now Zach Wilson's team. He's QB1 once again. Um, there's a few guys out there. Joe Flacco is reportedly interested. I know I reported on NFL Underground that Colin Kaepernick is also interested. He hasn't been in the league in a while. Carson Wentz is available. Nick Foles. There's a lot of different guys that are available and ready to play, but um, you gotta wonder, man, how are the Jets gonna be? You said they're not gonna make the playoffs, right? Correct? Is that what I heard?
I Nah, in the AFC, no.
It's a
No,
tough,
no
yeah. Like the
chance.
AFC is just getting harder and harder to win these days.
That's what I mean. Like, if they were in the NFC, I'd probably like say, yeah, there's a
Yeah,
chance, like a good chance.
right.
But no,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry,
think
not in the AFC.
the
It would
NFC.
take some drastic injuries for that to happen. That are just like Zach Wilson playing 10 times better than he did yesterday or
Yeah,
Monday.
yeah. I think the AFC is pretty tight, but the NFC is I think personally is wide open. I think it's like anyone's game that can make it up over there. We got
Yeah, to an extent.
right, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I know Garrett Wilson was pretty devastated. I know he was extremely happy to be playing with Rodgers. And then you when you think about all the players that came from Green Bay to play with Rodgers, and now that he's hurt, and now they have to play with Zach Wilson. There's such a stark difference in veteranness and the way Rodgers conducts himself on the field compared to the way Zach Wilson is. There's going to be a stark difference, but we'll see how they pull through. We'll keep that in mind moving forward as the season goes on. So yeah, hopefully hopefully both Rodgers and Dobbins and the rest of the players who were injured in Week 1 recover as well. So let's move on. So Thursday night football, we got the Vikings and the Eagles. The last time the Eagles and Vikings played, the Eagles pretty much, I think, shut down Kirk Cousins. It seemed like the only person he wanted to throw to was Justin Jefferson, and that was basically the game plan for the Eagles. Just the guard, as long as you can block and guard Justin Jefferson, you'll win the game. Now, I do think that Jalen Hurts has to throw the ball a lot more in this game. They could also run the ball too. They don't. They got a lot of good running backs up their sleeve that could play. But I do think this should be a more passing game for Jalen Hurts. I do have the Eagles winning this one. What are your thoughts on this matchup for Thursday?
I think the Eagles win, honestly. I have a feeling the Eagles are going to be a lot more pass heavy this year, just because I don't see what's his name, Gainwell, being a lead back. I don't think Swift can even stay healthy for a full season.
Yeah.
And Penny, same thing. He's a healthy scratch. They're keeping him just in case, like, everyone goes down.
Right.
Justin Jefferson probably going to get, like, 10 targets, 110 yards. But then again, it's on Slay or Bradbury, so, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I have the Eagles winning. Let me see, 28-21. I think that's my prediction. 28-21 Eagles. What are your predictions?
I could see 17, 27.
17-27.
Eagles.
Okay. So, all right. So 10-point game. All right. Not bad. All right. So with that being said, I think that concludes today's episode. Feels good to be back talking football with my boy Shaun. Feels good to be back on the podcast. So if there's nothing else to say, I think we've concluded this episode. Is there anything you want to say to the people, Shaun?
I hope the Steelers, the Browns, and the Bengals lose this week.
And the Ravens. Yeah, that's the spirit. That's what I'm talking about.
Ravens can't lose because they play the Bengals, and the Bengals will be losing, bro. Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if the Steelers bounce back. It's just gonna be a long season, but it is what it is, man. But with all that being said, we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.